A palimpsest is defined as a manuscript or piece of writing material on which later writing has been superimposed on earlier writing, now effaced, or something reused or altered but still bearing visible traces of its earlier content. Many paintings have older paintings underneath, which can be revealed by X-rays. Oswald Spengler wrote, "By the term historical pseudomorphosis I propose to designate those cases in which an older alien culture lies so massively over the land that a young culture, born in this land, cannot get its breath and fails not only to achieve pure and specific expression forms, but even to develop fully its own self-consciousness. All that wells up from the depths of the young soul is cast in the old molds, young feelings stiffen in senile works, and instead of rearing itself up in its own creative power, it can only hate the distant power with a hate that grows to be monstrous. A pseudomorphosis is a kind of palimpsest, something destructively placed over something else, something guaranteed to produce distortion. The underlay, because its vestiges are still present, may powerfully affect the overlay and warp it. The stronger the vestiges, the greater the warping. The world is full of pseudomorphosis. Wilberian integral theory is a perfect example. It tries to claim that all the layers of human development that lie over each other are somehow compatible and evolutionary when in fact they are pseudomorphoses, horribly mangling each other. We need to get rid of all this junk and start again, specifically with ontological mathematics, a revolutionary starting point, free of pseudomorphosis. Andreas Komnenos wrote, in the 1960s, American neuroscientist Paul MacLean formulated the triune brain model, which is based on the division of the human brain into three distinct regions. MacLean's model suggests the human brain is organized into a hierarchy, which itself is based on an evolutionary view of brain development. The three regions are as follows: 1. Reptilian or primal brain, basal ganglia. 2. Paleomammalian or emotional brain, limbic system. 3. Neomammalian or rational brain, neocortex. According to MacLean, the hierarchical organization of the human brain represents the gradual acquisition of the brain structures through evolution. The triune brain model suggests the basal ganglia was acquired first, which is thought to be in charge of our primal instincts, followed by the limbic system, which is in charge of our emotions or affective system, then the neocortex, which is thought to be responsible for rational or objective thought. So, according to this triune brain model, the human brain itself is an example of pseudomorphosis. Three distinct parts have been bolted together, but they are not at all well integrated. We might say that each component sabotages the other two. Arthur Koestler said, when the psychiatrist bids his patient to lie on the couch, he is asking him to stretch out alongside a horse and a crocodile. Andreas Komnenos wrote, MacLean's model claims that activity in the three brain regions, basal ganglia, limbic system, and neocortex, is largely distinct when we are engaged in each of the mental activities outlined above. For example, when we are in danger and must respond quickly, as an act of self-preservation, the reptilian structure is aroused, preparing us for action by initiating the release of chemicals throughout the body. When we are watching a shocking news story or receive an upsetting message, the limbic system is stimulated and, again, chemicals are released, which create our experience of emotions. Finally, when we are making decisions, solving problems or reasoning, the neocortex is engaged, without the involvement of the other brain structures. How many of humanity's bizarre ideas concerning reality are caused by primitive minds allowing influences from the reptilian brain stem and limbic system to override the neocortex? Ontological mathematics is purely a product of the neocortex. It is at absolute pains to free itself of the instinctual primal brain and emotional limbic system. Wilberism, by contrast, is all about the primal brain and limbic system. Wilberism despises the neocortex, reason and logic. Wilber's trans-rational non-dualism is for the brain stem and limbic system alone. There is no contribution from the cognitive neocortex. Reason and logic are entirely absent. With integral theory, you are required to enter a subjective experiential state dictated by the brain stem and limbic system, a trans-rational, which is to say a non-neocortex, state, not a cognitive state of knowledge directed by the neocortex, a trans-instinctual, trans-emotional, trans-mystical state of pure conceptual reason and logic, which is to say a non-brain stem and non-limbic system state. Nietzsche said, "One would make a fit little boy stare if one asked him, 'Would you like to become virtuous?' But he will open his eyes wide if asked, 'Would you like to become stronger than your friends?' That's the primal brain and limbic system response right there. The boy wants power. He couldn't care less about abstract virtue. He has no interest in intellectual concepts.